Okay, I will start.
Great.
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
Let me do this.
Yeah,
Can you hear me clearly?
yeah,
Yes?
yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay. So then we can start now.
Sure. Yes. Yes, please.
Okay. Okay. Good good evening, everyone. I hope you are doing well. It's a pleasure to welcome you to our webinar. My name is Leah and I'll be your host for this session. Tonight we have an insightful discussion about your pathway to Canada, scholarship and exciting new immigration opportunities, featuring incredible speaker Felix Iso, the regional manager of Sioux College. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat box. We will discuss in the Q&A session at the end. So without further ado, let's get started. Please join me in welcoming our first speaker, Helen. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah. So, hello, everybody. Good evening. Thank you for being here. Let me just pull my screen. So, yeah, there you go. I hope you're able to see it. Okay. Right. So, thank you once again. Thank you, AECC, for having me, and Heather, my colleague, who will be presenting about the permanent residency later. And yeah, for having Sioux College. Before I talk about our college, I want to share a little bit about Canada and Ontario because that's where the college is located. So, so sorry about that. Let me see. Okay, so, oh no, wait, let me, it's buffering. Really apologize about that. Okay, so let me pull the right one. I'm really sorry about that. Yes.
It's okay.
Yeah, so about Canada, I know you've heard a lot, and AECC is here as well to be uh, giving you even more information about it. So, let's see. Okay, it should work this time now. Yeah, just very briefly, it's still, despite all of the issues about international education, Canada still stands to be one of the top countries when it comes to providing good quality of life, and also most educated countries. So whatever education you get from Canada, you can use it worldwide as well. Still very multicultural, diverse, and welcoming. Sault Ste. Marie, where Sault College is just across the United States. However, I can definitely tell you that we are very peaceful, okay, and very safe country. Now, the benefit of studying in Canada, you can study while you work. So you can do part-time job as well, and that's 24 hours per week during the semester. And after graduation, you can apply with what we call post-graduation work permit or PGWP. I will be using this acronym all throughout the presentation. Okay, so PGWP will allow you to stay and work for 1 to 3 years across Canada. And of course, Canada is known for immigration. There's still permanent residency pathways available to you after graduation. So So the heart of Canada is also known as in Ontario. Ontario is one of the 10 provinces, okay, of Canada, second largest when it comes to the land area, but when it comes to the number of population, the GDP, it has the largest share in Canada. It's also home to over 50% of international students. So they choose Ontario among the other 9 provinces. You can also find 24 public colleges, and of course, Sioux College is one of them. So that's how you pronounce it, Sioux. It's French. That's why it's pronounced this way. If you pronounce it salt, it's fine. Okay. So, but yeah, it's Sioux literally translates to rapids or river. So if you say Sault Ste. Marie, it means St. Mary's River, St. Mary's Rapids. We are located in northern Ontario. Now, if you are coming from Indonesia, you need to make sure you land in Toronto. From Toronto, it will take you 1 hour, 25 minutes flight, okay, to go to Sault Ste. Marie. You can do land transportation, but it will take you 7 to 8 hours, right? And also, if you want to choose the United States as your transit area, you can do it from Detroit. There are buses from Detroit going to Sault Ste. Marie, but this will take you 5 hours, right? Now, Sue, compared to what you are used to in Indonesia, you might think that this is a very small community. So it's around 80,000 people. Canada's standard, this is medium sized. So Sault Ste. Marie is a medium sized city. It's very diverse. In fact, we have a very small community of Indonesians there. Some of the Indonesians stayed there for more than 20 years already. We have our graduates as well, our alumni who are staying there. It's a very safe, okay, a living community. If you have family or you plan to have a family, Sault Ste. Marie is a pretty good place. If it's really steady, okay, so not so much of city life, then this is also a good place. But if you want like party and then city lifestyle, like skyscrapers, etc., this might not be the city for you. So it is very close to nature. And with that, most of the activities, whatever season, it's all outdoor, right? And Sault Ste. Marie will have the RCIP, or the Rural Community Immigration Pilot. This is one of the permanent residency pathways in Canada, and it's only offered to 18 communities across Canada. Now, as a college, we are very conscious when it comes to employment, okay, especially in our community. Colleges exist because of the employers and the needs of the community. So currently in Sault Ste. Marie, these are the in-demand jobs or professions. It might not be the same with what the federal government or IRCC is asking, but employment in Canada, it's generally regional. So it's very regionalistic. Depending on where you are going to, they might not need you or they might need you. Okay, so I'm not saying that, for example, software developers, we need them in Sault Ste. Marie, probably in other areas in Ontario, they might not need them as much as we need them. So you need to do your research as well. But for our community, these are the positions that are currently in need. Now, let's go to education in Canada. We have public colleges and public universities. If your aim is to do academic research, theoretical studies, master's, PhD, you need to go to the university. Okay. But if you want to hone your technical, vocational skills, you want job-ready programs, short-term programs to enter the labor market, then you might want to consider the college, right? Canada, most of our institutions really, we don't look at the rankings. I know Indonesia is very rank conscious when it comes to universities or even colleges, but for Canada, it really depends if it's public or private. If it's public, then it's a pretty good institution, right? So which is better, college or university? It depends on your goal, what you want to achieve in Canada, right? And AECC is here as well to help you identify that. Now let's go to our college. Yeah. Yeah, so those are our students. They're not paid actors. Okay, so SU is considered a small college or a small college, around 3,000 students. 60% will be domestic, 40% international. We try to make sure that our classrooms will be 50-50, 50% domestic, 50% international. And we only have 25, currently 25 PGWP qualified programs. Some of these programs will either have a co-op or placement. Co-op is paid internship, placement is unpaid internship. There are small class sizes generally. Class sizes will be around 12 to 18 students per class, and especially if these programs will have placement or co-op, maybe 12 to 15. Okay? We do have scholarships that I will be discussing later towards the end of the presentation. Now, as a student, we know that you're conscious when it comes to employment, and yeah, that's why we're there for employment as well, not just academic. And that's why we have our Student Job Center. They will be the one to assist you when it comes to job search activities, resume writing, cover letter writing, interviews, etc. Okay, they are very good support when it comes to employment, as well as our Employment Solutions Department. They will connect you to employers not only in Sault Ste. Marie, but also across Canada. Some of these employers, you might not know them because they are local employers. Okay, so we have partners that are national employers, but maybe one of the biggest employers here, I will say, aside from the government, is Algoma Steel. Okay, so it's one of the oldest steel manufacturer in Canada. And as you can see, Sue is here, Sault Ste. Marie, the city of Sault Ste. Marie, the province of Ontario, because we hire students part-time, full-time, sometimes even permanent. Now, as a student, you need to make sure that you graduate on time. And we are there to support you, not just employment, but also academic, of course, because the reason you're going there is to study, and we want to make sure that you need to graduate on time. Otherwise, there will be problems when it comes to the PGWP. And yeah, for the academic support, you will get your own academic counselor. We have free tutoring service, English writing support, many support from the library, and other student support services that are free for you to access. Okay, so health, dental, mental, even immigration information. If you are into sports, we have different clubs, and some of them, they also offer scholarships. Right. Now, accommodation, very important. We have our own student residence, and yeah, this is in the campus, okay? The 6,000 plus here, this is for one academic year or 8 months, because one semester is 4 months. This will include almost everything except the meals, but you can check our meal plan or you can cook. If you don't want our student residence, that's fine. We can also do homestay. So homestay, this you will stay with a Canadian family. It's a bit more affordable compared to the student residence. But if you don't want these options, we can always assist you when it comes to off-campus housing. Okay. Yeah, these are just few of the activities of our students. Now let's go to our program. Very important. Like I mentioned, we offer undergraduate and graduate certificates. For the undergraduate, we have college certificate, diploma, advanced diploma, and bachelor's degree. Graduate certificates, it's either 1 year or 2 year. So you can find that we have several disciplines being offered, but some of them are non-PGWP eligible. If you want to apply, you can, but be aware that these programs are non-PGWP. For example, business or culinary, okay? They're still open that you can apply to. We have 3 intakes in a year. Winter 2026 or January 2026 is open. Spring 2025 is already closed. Fall 2025 or September 2025 is still open. So these are just some of the highlights of the undergraduate PGWP qualified programs. As you can see, most of them are diploma. We have college certificate as well and advanced diploma, but I will be sending you the link so that you can check. Tuition fees will just range 17,300 to 20,000 Canadian dollars per year. Okay, so as you can see, some of this will have placement. For example, social service worker. Okay, these are unpaid internships. Okay. So I mentioned a while ago that some programs are non-PGWP qualified, but you can still apply. For example, business. If you want to apply business accounting diploma, you can, but after diploma, you need to continue with the university to complete your bachelor's, and then you can apply for the PGWP. Okay, we have partner universities that you can do 2+2, 2 years with us, and then 2 years with our partner university. If you don't want our partner universities, it's okay. Okay, you can always check Ontario Transfer. So these are all the public colleges and universities in Ontario. We all have agreements, but it depends on the institution how many more years they will let you study. So with our partner university, they might say you can finish your bachelor's in another 2 years. Some of the universities here in Ontario, they might say you need 2.5 or 3 more years, right? So I just want to highlight our bachelor's because we only have two, Bachelor of Science in Nursing and Bachelor of Engineering Mechatronics. If you want to become a registered nurse in Canada, the nursing program is the best program for you. This will have a placement. You need to be 18 years old when you enter, when the semester starts. So this is only offered during September. By September, you need to be 18 years old because there is a clinical field placement. This is unpaid, and it will begin during your first semester, right? So we will look at your transcript as well, and we will need 75% of your GPA for English, math, chemistry, physics, and biology. And another bachelor is mechatronics. If you're into embedded systems, okay, mechanical, electrical, AI, and robotics, this is the best program for you. This one will have a co-op, which is a paid internship. Okay, and we will also look at your GPA, especially your math subjects or math courses. And this is probably the only program we have that has a scholarship posted in our website. Okay, so there is up to 4,000 Canadian dollars, merit-based, meaning depending on your GPA, you can get up to 4,000 entry, and also renewable up to 4,000 scholarships during your studies with us, right? And graduate certificate, if you completed Diploma 3 in Indonesia or higher, bachelor's, Diploma 3, master's, and you want to take the graduate certificate, you're welcome to apply. So as you can see, it's more focused with healthcare and IT. So supply chain management, you might think this is business, but according to IRCC, it's under IT because of the emergent technology. Okay, so again, you can see that most of our graduate certificate, they're offered during, of course, fall or September intake and January. So we have very few programs for May, but if you want to enter May intake, that's fine. Very good weather during that time because that's the spring. So yeah, if you have background in IT, healthcare, then these programs are open for you. Supply chain management, any background, we will accept any bachelor's degree. Right. So just a very brief video about why Sault College or Sault Ste. Marie. Yeah. So those are our students. If you want to check our facilities, you can do so by the virtual tour in our website. Now for the admissions, AECC is very good when it comes to documentation, so we don't really worry about it. But just for your idea, if you're applying for the undergraduate, we will need minimum high school, okay, diploma and then transcript. If you're applying for the graduate certificate, you don't really need to submit the high school. It's really up to you, but we will need the diploma or the bachelor's degree. Okay. English competency requirements. So we accept from IELTS to Duolingo, depending if you're applying for the diploma or the graduate certificates or bachelor. Okay. So these are the documents that you'll be receiving from us. The letter of acceptance, which will go through AECC. And we try to send out letter of acceptance in 24 hours, okay? By that, as long as there are no questions with your documents, then we will be able to send the LOA, okay? Turnaround time 24 hours. And then the tuition fee receipt as well, you'll be receiving from us, and the provincial attestation letter. So for the PAL, as long as you pay the deposit, we will automatically release your PAL in 1 to 2 business days. Okay, application fee is waived. You don't need to pay anything. Again, the tuition fee is for 1 year. Whatever you will see in the website or in the letter of acceptance, 1 year, good for 2 semesters. And it will include your ancillary, for example, health insurance, dental insurance, locker fees, etc. Living costs in Sault Ste. Marie will be around this, might be lower. So this is just a conservative projection, but some of our students, they can go down to 14,000 Canadian dollars per year for the living cost. Okay, now for the scholarship, so we have 2 types. If you will apply from now until May 31, you will receive 4,000 Canadian dollars for your first year, and then 2,000 the following years. Okay, but if you will apply on June 1st, you will receive 2,000 annually until you finish your program. Okay, and if you have IELTS 7 overall or PTE academic 76, no band lower than 70, you will receive additional 2,000 on your first year. So you can get 6,000 in total, okay, for the first year. So if you're applying for the bachelor's, then until you graduate, you'll be able to receive 10,000 Canadian dollars in total. Okay, so I hope this is clear. So you can add that. If you will apply, let's say June 30, then you will get automatically the 2,000. And then if you meet the requirements for the languages scholarship, additional 2,000 on your first year. All right. So most of our scholarships are automatic. We will need for your application only. And for the languages scholarship, we will need the results of your IELTS or PTE. Another scholarship, this is for students who have family members, okay, studying into college. So yes, we do have some Southeast Asian students who actually where the parents and the child are both studying. So one will get the Legacy Scholarship, which is 4,600 Canadian dollars per semester, okay, up to 4 semesters or 2 years. So pretty good. It's almost 50% off the total tuition fee, right? So again, part-time work in Canada up to 24 hours per week during the semester. That's off campus. If you want to work on campus, yes, we welcome students to apply. Like I mentioned a while ago, we hire our students, so you can work usually 10 hours per week on top of the 24 hours, right? And before I get to your questions, I just want to share this video because this student is from AECC.
Sorry, Fair, I don't know if you're sharing audio from your screen. We can just see him.
Oh, not working?
I think it's just that you're sharing your screen, but maybe not the audio because we can see the video, we just can't hear it. So usually if you stop share and then when you reshare, you can select include audio, then it should work okay. You're also on mute.
So yeah, so all of the videos that a while ago did not work with the audio. So I will share the videos with AECC so that you can check. And yeah, before we get to Heather, are there any questions?
Yeah. Do you guys any question? You can unmute yourself or chat on the chat box. We have the first question here. If I go for study, would my spouse get full-time working visa?
Okay, so I will leave that to Heather because I think it's
Okay.
also
Yeah,
part
yeah.
of her discussion. Yes.
Okay. Do you have any question regarding the SU College and the
Yes.
program or maybe the location?
Yeah, the fees, scholarship, the
Yeah.
programs. Yes. If you have questions, yeah.
Is the previous 3 scholarships stackable?
So only two. Sorry, because it depends on when are you going to apply. So if you're applying May 31, then let me just get back to there. Okay, so let's go to the scholarship. Okay, so here, if you're applying May 31, until May 31, from now until May 31, you will receive 4,000 Canadian dollars. Okay, that's automatic. And then if you have the language scholarship, you can add this, the 2,000. But if you will apply June 1st onwards, June 1 to maybe December or maybe July or August, then it will be 2,000 for the first year. And then if you meet the languages requirements, then additional 2,000. So it will be 4,000. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? So, Farlene, some students might ask about, is it easier to find a job if you graduate from a top university rather than college? How about your comment about this statement?
So, like I mentioned a while ago, when I showed you the occupations that or professions that we need in the community, it really depends on the community if they will need what you finished or not. So currently we have or currently yes there are job openings that you can check online that the community is posting. So it will give you an idea, like if we will need it or not. Please take note that if you graduate, for example, diploma in the college, let's say practical nursing, this is a very good example. So as a practical nurse, there is an occupation for you, practical nurse. And if you graduated Bachelor of Science in Nursing, and then you become an RN, then there is a job for you as well. So it depends on what the community really needs. Okay. If you graduated from the university, that's good. If you graduated from the college, that's good as well. So it depends on the occupation. So I don't think that employers will hire an RN, a registered nurse, that will work for as a practical nurse. Okay. So the jobs have a equivalency to the credentials. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any maximum age for applying like graduate certificate in SU College?
No. So we have minimum age, like I mentioned,
Yeah.
you need to be at least 18 years old, especially if your program has placement or co-op. But maximum, no, we don't
Okay.
have maximum age. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions, guys? I see.
Yeah.
I think all clear. So we can move to Heather Lewis, the manager of international recruitment and student services, and she is also the regulated Canadian immigration consultant. So Heather, the time is yours.
Hi, thank you. Let me just pull up my presentation. Okay, can you see it
Yes.
okay?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't need all these to come that way. So I'll start by saying that what I share, I think we've all seen that there's a lot of immigration updates lately. So it's current to the best of our ability as of today. It doesn't necessarily account for any changes that might come in the future. And I think we've all seen that IRCC, hopefully they stop with all of the changes, but there have been a lot lately. So I'm going to touch on the PGWP eligibility and Sioux College programs, and then also spousal open work permit on PGWP. And I can address the question as well about spousal open work permit while you study. And then I'll give a brief update on what we know so far about the new rule pilot, but there's not a lot of information available as yet. So starting with PGWP eligibility. So the first point is that you have to graduate from an eligible program at a designated learning institution in Canada. So Sioux College is one of these designated learning institutions, and we do have eligible programs. They are on our website, and I also have the list on the next slide so I can have them up on the screen. You have to be a full-time student for the full duration of your studies. So you can't just come and take one or two classes at a time and still qualify for a PGWP. You do need to be a full-time student the whole time. There is an exception for your final semester of studies. I think this is intended to allow a little flexibility. It's always possible sometimes a student misses a class, you fail one class, something. So you're allowed to come back for an extra semester and make up the one or two classes, and you would still be eligible for a PGWP if you had to take one semester at part-time, but it has to be the final, excuse me, the final semester of your studies. You have to hold a valid study permit when applying for a PGWP. And here is our list. So you can see there's a wide range. We have bachelor degrees, we have college diplomas, college certificates, and graduate certificates. The main thing here that you can see within what IRCC has been identifying in the zip codes is that there's a strong focus on science, technology, engineering, trades, and healthcare. So we certainly have options in all of those program areas, which is nice because then there's a range of programs to choose from that would be eligible for a PGWP after graduating from our program at Sioux College. Okay, so this is on the PGWP eligibility. I will come back to the spousal open work permit at the time when you're studying because that's an update that happened about a year ago. So I didn't include that specifically because it's not really anything new, but I can still explain that. But first, this is while you're on a PGWP. So this would be after you graduate from your program. Can your spouse get a work permit after you've graduated and you're on your PGWP? So this is a newer update. These criteria, we knew that they were making an announcement, but they just did this in the last few months. So once you've graduated from Sioux College, or honestly any college in Canada, once you hold your PGWP. So you graduate, you get your documents from the college, you apply for your PGWP, and then it's approved. And that process can take a couple of months. We're hoping they'll improve their processing times. But once you hold your PGWP, it must be valid for at least 16 months. And I'm highlighting that duration because it's important to remember this. So most students who come to Canada are usually looking to maximize their PGWP. Usually, most students will take a 2-year program leading to a PGWP of up to 3 years. But sometimes we hear students that only want a 1-year program, and that's fine. But a 1-year program leads to a 1-year PGWP. And so, if you're hoping that your spouse will be able to join you in Canada eventually, a 12-month PGWP or less will not qualify your spouse to be able to apply for a work permit while you're on a work permit. It needs to be valid for at least those 16 months at the time your spouse applies for a work permit. Also, while you're on that work permit, you, as the graduate, you have to have a certain job. So I hope you've looked a little bit maybe at some of these codes, but Canada classifies jobs and occupations into tiers. It's based on training, education, experience. So a 0 or a 1 would be usually a management occupation, or a specific knock code. And it's a long list. It's longer than I can put on a screen. But if you're in a tier 2 or 3, these are usually jobs where you have graduated from a college and you've had some training in your specific field. And they're focusing on the tier 2 and 3 jobs that are in science, trades, and healthcare. So that would mean that you need to get a job while you're on your work permit that is in one of these specified fields or in management. And then your spouse could apply to have a work permit while you're also working in Canada. And so I have the link here. I can share this after because, like I said, the list is really long in terms of which occupations, and that's good because when you look at a knock code, it's very occupation specific. It really only relates to one job. So it's good that there's a very long list. It means there's a lot of different jobs you could get that would help you qualify. Now, here's something that they have updated with this. So when they're looking at, open work permits for family members, the headline of that IRCC page that I've hyperlinked just above, they have specified it will now be for spouses. So that means that children of PGWP holders are no longer going to be eligible for a work permit. It depends on the age of your child whether that's of concern for you. If you have a child who is of age where you would want them to be working, they can get their own study permit. And then depending on the study permit, their level of study, they'll be able to have that off-campus work allowance that was being discussed before I started speaking, and then they could work. But they've removed that children, dependent children, but basically adult children of PGWP holders can get their own work permit. Now it's limited to spouses, and there's limitations on what job you hold as the primary applicant that would let your spouse get a spousal open work permit. But I know Fairlane mentioned some of our scholarships. One of them is the Legacy Scholarship. So if you do have older children and you're trying to plan how you might be able to navigate this, the Legacy Scholarship is an option. So that's for family members. So we'll have one person come, they'll graduate, and then maybe their child comes afterward. That could be an option for you at that point in time. And I'll touch on this very briefly because there's not much information yet, but I know it's a hot topic. I get asked about it, so I'll be upfront with sharing what I do know and make it very clear that we don't know a lot yet. So we used to be part of the Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot here in Sault Ste. Marie. That ended last August. They've now announced that we are part of this Rural Community Immigration Pilot, and we are a part of this, but the criteria for each of the 14 communities isn't available yet. So it's a new 5-year pilot building on the last one with some changes to help improve the program as IRCC sees it being improved. There are 14 communities and Sault Ste. Marie is one of them. So the federal criteria is largely carried forward from the last rural pilot. And the federal criteria, just the basics. So it's a full-time permanent job offer, qualifying work experience, or there's an exception if you have 2 years study, like from a program in a participating community. So a 2-year program at Sioux College, for example. You need to have a minimum language score. These tend to be lower than our admission standards, so it shouldn't be an issue. There's a minimum education requirement, and the equivalent is Canadian secondary school. So again, once you're studying at Sioux College, you've already met that. Settlement funds, showing that you have enough money to support yourself while you're settling in the community. Intention to reside in the community, because if you're saying you need to be living, for example, in Sault Ste. Marie, you really should be planning to live in Sault Ste. Marie. And then you'll need to get a recommendation from the community, and that's what starts the process. So first it's through the community, and then you would apply to the federal government for PR. I've put the star there because this is where there's changes and this is where we don't have updates yet. So there are changes to how communities are giving recommendations, the community criteria, and no community criteria is available yet. We know that communities need to be identifying the sectors where they need more employees because it's meant to be driven by the job market in each community. And I know they're working on this, but it's just not available yet. So we're hoping to see that coming very soon. And then once that starts to flow, it sounds as though there is a plan where there won't be any gaps anymore in the 5-year duration of this pilot, where there's uncertainty. It's just because this is the beginning of a new pilot where there's a bit of a lag and a waiting period to see what the communities are going to do. So they have to identify priority sectors, a sector being, say, healthcare or manufacturing, and then the knock codes. That's, like I said, there's a really specific job number code that would be within those priority sectors, or they can choose other ones. But to qualify, they need to have priority sectors and knock codes. This process is still sitting with the communities as of 2 days ago when I looked. They've promised to give us an update in our community as soon as there's an update, and we have not had one yet. So at this point, we're just waiting still. What we do know is that it's going to be more employer-driven than the previous pilot was. So now the employers have to become designated with the community, and that just means that they have to take some classes, make sure they understand what's involved with helping someone move to their community and settle there. And it's actually going to be the employers who are going to be requesting recommendations. So where previously it was applicants who got a job and then they applied to the community, now the communities are going to be working to support employers to become designated and to help encourage employers who have employment needs to request this. And then once the recommendation is given, it goes back to the applicant, the student, the graduate, and then they can apply for permanent residence. So that's the main bulk. I'll stop sharing that for now so I can see if there's any questions and such. I know there was a question previously about whether your spouse can get a work permit while you're studying. That was a change that our government made about a year ago, where there's many more limitations on that. So in order for a spouse to get a work permit while you study, you have to be in a very specific program. Usually a certain duration of master's program or professional program. Unfortunately, at this point, no colleges in Canada qualify for that kind of program. We just don't offer those programs. And even you have to look really carefully at the master's program to see if it's long enough and if it meets the criteria. You can take questions now if that helps.
Okay. Is there any questions, guys?
Let's chat here too.
We got a question here. Is it possible for a student who previously held a Canadian permanent resident to return to Canada and be eligible for PGWP?
As far as I'm aware, it should be, as long as you haven't previously held a PGWP. You only get one PGWP in your lifetime. So if you've had one, you will not get another one. If you held a Canadian PR permit and for some reason did not travel to Canada or didn't maintain the residency standard and chose to give up permanent residence, you'll have to apply and they might ask that you explain why. But as long as you have not held a PGWP, it shouldn't be a problem. If you did have one before, you will not get another one.
Is it clear, Vito?
And then I can also ask Fair if you have any questions that you hear often, if I can help address them now, even if we're not getting the questions in the chat, please let me know and I can help address those too.
Oh, Heather, I just to add, okay, with the information, because Heather is in Sioux, so she's born and raised in Sioux. So
Yes.
just to add, yeah, about the information, about the community. I've experienced the community during spring and winter, but not the entire year. So yeah, because the students are coming from really big cities in Indonesia, and
Mhm.
Indonesia is one of the highly densely populated countries in the world. So yeah, the small cities here will be probably what big cities for Canada. So yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that concern from students before, or even from agencies when they're visiting. And certainly, Canada has more space. Our population is much more spread out. Um, we are considered maybe a medium-sized city. So our population is around 75,000. And I know coming from Indonesia, that might sound like a small population, but we're the hub in the area. So all of the smaller towns, villages around come into Sault Ste. Marie for their major services. So we have cinema, bowling alleys, shopping centers, the major hospital in the area. So we are the larger town in this area. Um, and so I know I've seen that often when agencies visit coming from other countries, they think, oh, this is going to be such a small town. And then they're really surprised, like, oh, no, you have everything here. So it's just the nature of Canada that our population is more spread out.
We have another question here. So how about the pathway to be the PR after the 2 years PGWP and the 5 years RCIP?
Yes, so PR pathways, there's a lot of them. Uh, it's best to actually speak to a consultant who can help you make a personalized plan. It depends on you, your age, your education, your language. If you're married, your spouse's education, your spouse's language, both of your work experience. There's a lot of different criteria that need to be considered when looking at what might be the best PR options for you. I mentioned RCIP just because we are one of the participating communities and I often get a lot of questions about it. And I know there's a lot of excitement right now. Um, it's not the only program that could be an option after graduation. It's just one program for those who are looking to be in Sault Ste. Marie. One of the nice things that I know people always get excited about RCIP is they're not looking at age, where Express Entry, there's points for age. Um, but they are looking at other factors. So I would suggest if your plan is to move to Canada and you're looking toward PR, it makes sense to plan now while you're looking at schools, while you're looking at your plans. Take a look at which programs are options for you. And Fairlane, I know from our website we have a list of different eligibility. If you can paste that into the chat too, if you don't mind. So it's just listing all of the different
Sure.
PR pathways, and because there's so many, it really is important to meet with a professional who can legally give you advice on what might be the best options for you so that you can come to Canada with a few different options of, hey, I could maybe look at this program, I could look at this program, and you make a plan and you live your life for the next few years, hopefully working through that plan.
Yeah.
Any other
So
questions, Donnie? Just getting the RCIP will make the PR application easier.
So RCIP, the Rural Pilot, is one permanent residence program that exists in Canada. So if you qualify for RCIP, then that's one pathway where you could apply for permanent residence, just like you could apply for, Canadian experience with an Express Entry. It's just one of the many programs. So it doesn't necessarily make it easier. It's just one more pathway that now exists if you study in Sault Ste. Marie or one of the 14 communities.
Okay. So, Verlin, how many Indonesian students currently in college?
Currently studying, I think there's two because
Oh,
most of them graduated already. But
I see.
we're like Kokan. He graduated like 2 years ago, I think.
Mhm.
So we are expecting applications for this fall, and I hope our audience would consider to add that number. It would be great. So yeah.
So, do you know Indonesian student who already got their PR?
Oh, I haven't checked. The last one, our first female, she's from Medan. I need to
Oh,
check back. Yeah, I need to check back if she already received it because the
okay.
last time we talked, she mentioned that she applied. That was for RNIP. So I don't know if she was
Okay.
able to make it for RNIP. Yeah.
Okay. So, Heather, if we apply for RCIP and it is rejected, can we apply another pathway of PR?
Yeah, I think it would really just depend on the reason for the rejection. If you're not selected by the community, certainly you can
Mm,
look at other options. If for some reason your PR application was denied because of a security concern, for example, that would probably apply to any PR pathway, but that's less likely. So it really just depends on the reason.
okay. Okay. Any other questions, guys? To Fairlane or Heather? I think there is no questions anymore. So yeah, thank you, Fairlane and Heather, for being an incredible speakers for this webinar. And don't forget to check out our upcoming Ramadan webinar series, guys, and follow ACC Indonesia on social medias to stay updated. Wishing you a blessed Ramadan, stay safe, and we hope to see you in our next sessions. Thank you, Fairlane and Heather. Thank you, everyone. Bye
Thank you,
bye.
everyone. Bye. Thanks, Heather. Thanks, everyone.